Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Becca and I wanted to do a little video to introduce myself and talk a little bit about who this channel is for and why I've made it. So this channel is for adults, teens, and maybe even some older children who are having difficulties with maths. I think a lot of people hear maths and just think, ugh, or worse, they start feeling nervous or sick, or they just want to run away. Some people are terrified that others might find out they struggle with maths, or often people bond over how much they hate it. But it's still a part of life, and for some people, it's a huge barrier, especially if they need a qualification in it to move onwards and upwards. I relate so much to those negative emotions and associations with maths. I actually managed pretty well with it until early secondary school, around 2003, when I somehow found myself in the quick set. And it's crazy just how quickly your confidence can drop to rock bottom when you don't understand things, or you can't keep up, or you don't get the support that you need. And I fell behind so quickly, and I remember just how stupid and ashamed I felt. And it wasn't long before my motivation completely disappeared for maths. I would try to get out of doing it at every possible opportunity. And I often talked to my friends about how much I hated it, and remember feeling insanely jealous when anyone mentioned that it wasn't too bad, or they even liked it, or when I saw them doing well in tests. My experience is pretty average, I would say. I know that many people have had a much harder time of things. But even so, after my experiences, it's quite strange in some ways that I ended up training as a maths teacher, and in other ways, it makes total sense. So, fast forward to 2012, and I got my first job working in an integrated resource, which is a bit like a learning support unit, supporting children with autism and a range of other specific learning difficulties at school. Most of the lessons I supported in were maths, and as the year went on, I realised that I actually loved being in those classes. When the kids struggled to understand something, I just had a way of describing it or drawing it or just approaching the explanation differently, and it seemed to really help them. And I had lots of chats with my manager about it, and she suggested that I train to be a maths teacher, which I thought was a bit crazy at the time. But 2 years later, I'd completed an open university course in maths education and then my teacher training, and I was qualified. And then during my time teaching, I was lucky to work with some incredible teachers in some pretty challenging schools. Some teachers seem to have endless enthusiasm and make even the driest topics fun for kids. Others were just so clever that everyone just watched and listened in awe and hung on to their every word. Some of the teachers were amazing at telling stories through math, so they just had their own talent and way of doing things. And I also found mine. I loved working with kids who had lost their confidence and motivation, or just maybe never had it in the first place. I think I completely related to them, and helping them develop their understanding was somehow really healing for me. And it was just an incredible intrinsic motivator. I don't know, maybe that's a bit selfish, but I think it made me good at my job. And don't get me wrong, I didn't have the confidence to teach A level. I couldn't have done a degree in maths. Even now, as soon as something gets too abstract, my brain just needs so much time to make sense of things, and I quickly start feeling anxious and stupid. It's just kind of never gone away. In the end, I think a combination of imposter syndrome and other factors kind of won over, and I left teaching in 2022. I think the general consensus is that teachers should have a passion for their subject. And I don't think I have a passion for maths, but I do have a passion for helping people overcome barriers that maths can create in their lives, for helping them build up their confidence with numbers and making it so that they can be in charge of the maths rather than being controlled by it. So a few years on, I'm working as a senior learning mentor for adults from 16 years upwards. I've completed a master's degree in psychology where I did a lot of research on maths anxiety, and I've decided to create this channel in the hope that I might be able to support people in overcoming their barriers to maths. So whether you've got gaps in learning, had a difficult time at school, you've had negative experiences with maths, got traits of dyscalculia, feel anxious every time you think about maths, or all of the above, my hope is that this channel might help you in boosting your confidence by breaking things down, developing your conceptual understanding, and giving you some new strategies to try. Unsurprisingly, we won't be covering calculus or any other A-level or degree level topics. We'll be focusing on conceptual stuff, kind of broader strategies which will help you understand the everyday maths that we all use, and build up skills for GCSE or functional skills level qualifications if that's something you're working towards. I would love to hear your stories about maths and what your hopes or goals are. So please let me know in the comments. If there are any topics or areas you'd like support with, please let me know too. That would really help me shape my future content. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.